Good day, everyone. We are the Group 11. I am Rima Mendoza with my companion Crizel May Manubag as we discuss the Filipino-American relation. So the Philippines' relationship with the United States has been robust, dynamic, and strategic. This relationship is nurtured by a shared history and adherence to common values, especially a commitment to freedom, democracy, and a market economy. From combating war against terrorism to war against poverty, the partnership between the Philippines and the United States is broad-based, opening fresh avenues for greater cooperation. So first, we will discuss the origin of an enduring alliance, highlights of the Philippines-U.S. bilateral relations, and third, I gathered some information to remember. So first, the origin of an enduring alliance. So in 1898, America's manifest destiny and the Filipinos' aspiration for freedom. We had by then proclaimed our independence from Spain, clashed and collided in a bloody guerrilla war ending with the capture of our President Aguinaldo and the demise of Asia's First Republic. Over time, the bitterness of defeat and the triumphalism of empire gave way to grudging collaboration, then evolving into mutual trust and respect. So Filipinos won America's admiration for their patriotism, love and country, and their steadfast and unwavering resolve to be free. And the United States committed itself to ever-getting measures of self-government for its Pacific Empire. Eventually, in 1935, we achieved home rule through a Commonwealth and the pledge within a decade of full independence. So the outbreak of the Second World War strengthened even more the ties that joined the Philippines and the United States. The Filipinos stood as one, shoulder to shoulder with America and its allies in the war against aggression. For both our peoples, Filipinos and Americans, freedom and democracy are not just abstract ideas or principles. They are real, day-to-day values we are willing to defend, values for which we are willing to pay the ultimate price.
In the 1940s, from the foxhole of Bataan and the Tamazov corridor to the Barbers that marched to Capas and Cap O'Donnell, and now against extremists, poverty, and terrorism. At war's end in 1946, the Philippines attained its hard-earned independence, and with the signing of the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, the Philippines became the United States' first treaty ally in Asia. So now we will discuss the highlights of the Philippines and U.S. bilateral relations. So defense and security engagement. So the Philippines and the United States entered into Mutual Defense Treaty in 1951. The Philippines is one of the only two U.S. treaty allies in Southeast Asia. In 2012, the U.S. has allocated a total of $158.8 million in defense and development assistance for the Philippines. So defense and security cooperation is coordinated through the framework of the Mutual Defense Board and the Security Engagement Board. So the Mutual Defense Board provides a continuing intergovernmental machinery for direct liaison and consultation on military matters of mutual concerns to develop and to improve both countries' common defense. And the Security Engagement Board provides a framework and mechanism for continuing liaison and consultation of non-traditional threats to security such as terrorism, transnational crimes, maritime security, natural and man-made disasters. So Legislative Affairs, Ambassador Jose Alcucia Jr. has further intensified the embassy's engagement with the United States Congress since assuming his post as ambassador on April 4, 2011. The ambassador has met with congressional leaders, senators, and representatives to highlight the importance of relationship in pursuing mutual goals of economic growth, democratic governance, and regional security. From 1907, during the American occupation, the Philippines had been represented in the United States Congress by Philippine resident commissioners. So today, Philippine relations with the United States Congress continue to be actively promoted in view of the sustained and enduring close linkage between the two countries, as well as the presence of some 3.5 million Americans of Filipino descent in the U.S. Filipino-American represent the second biggest Asian minority. Bills in the U.S. Congress of interest to the Philippines are generally related to trade, economic and security relations, U.S. assistance to the Philippines, and those that promote the interests of the Filipino population and the Filipino-American community.
Hi guys, I am Crizel May Manubag. and I am Group 11. So I will discuss about Filipino veterans of World War II. The most important piece of legislation in the U.S. Congress that had been the focus of the Philippines advocacy for many years was the Filipino Veterans Equity Act. In February 2009, President Obama signed into law a provision recognizing the military service of Filipino veterans in World War II and providing them with lump sum benefits, U.S. assistance to the Philippines, and defense cooperation. The U.S. Congress had allocated $2 billion for the Philippines from 1999 to 2011. To building peace in Mindanao, strengthening democratic institutions in the country, enhancing economic growth, and reinforcing greater stability in the region. The supplementary foreign military financing approved yearly by the U.S. Congress remains a very important component of the Philippines government efforts to develop the country's external defense capabilities. Save Our Industries Act. The expand textile and apparel trade between the Philippines and the U.S. The Save Act is an innovative win-win trade legislation that will sustain jobs and increase export in both the U.S. and the Philippines. H.R. 2387 was introduced by Representatives Jim McDermott along with Brian Bilbray and Bob Fleener, co-chairs of the Philippine Friendship Caucus. The Senate Companion 1244 was introduced by Senator Daniel Inouye and Roy Blunt on June 22, 2011. Friends in the U.S. Congress. During the term of Secretary Albert Del Rosario as Philippines Ambassador to the U.S., the Philippines-U.S. Friendship Caucus was officially launched in Washington, D.C. in 2003 with the 52 bipartisan members of the U.S. House of Representatives. The 8 founding pillars of the caucus are Representatives Darrell Issa, Bob Filner, Duke Cunningham, Bobby Scott, Todd Tiart, Neil Abercrombie, Dana Rohrabacher, and Lane Evans. C. Economic Affairs, Bilateral Trade and Investment. Bilateral trade and investment cooperation continues to serve as a dynamic dimension of the Philippines-U.S. partnership. Both countries meet regularly under the auspices of the Trade and Investment Framework Agreement that was signed in November 1889. Under TIFA, a Memorandum of Understanding to Cooperation on Stopping Illegal Transshipments of Textile and Apparel was signed by the Philippines and U.S. in 2006. In 1998, the Philippines signed a Memorandum of Understanding regarding the implementation of minimum access commitments. In 2011, the Philippines was the 33rd largest U.S. trading partner, and the U.S. was the Philippines' second largest trading partner, with total two-way trade valued at $13.6 billion or 16.2% of the Philippines' total trade with the world. The U.S. also maintained its top 2 position in January 2012 with total trade at $1.1 billion. Philippines export to the U.S. valued at $7.1 billion in 2011, mainly comprised of components, semiconductor devices, garments, coconut oil, electronic equipment and parts, electronic data processing, manufactured sugar, processed food and beverages, machinery, and transport, among others. In terms of import, the Philippines sources from the U.S. materials and accessories from the manufacture of electronic equipment, telecommunication equipment, and electrical machinery, with power generating and specialized machines, feedstuff for animals and other food, and live animals among others. Partnership for Growth (PFG). The Philippines' overreaching goals for achieving broad-based economic growth is supported by new strategic development initiative in the U.S. government called the Partnership for Growth (PFG). The PFG has three focus areas are improving regulatory quality, strengthening the rules of law and anti-corruption measures, and improving fiscal performance. In 2011, the PFG Statement of Principles was signed in Manila between the U.S. State Secretary Clinton and Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Del Rosario. May 5, 2012, USAID and DOF signed a USAID-GPH bilateral agreement amendment which made available to start the major PFG programs. The amendment also provides information to the GPH regarding USAID's planned funding for the duration of agreement. USAID and counterpart agencies are fleshing out the major programs identified under the Joint Country Action Plan (JCAP). D. Socio-cultural affairs education. Cooperation in education is also a cornerstone of Philippines-U.S. relations. The public education system in the Philippines is one of the legacies of American occupation in the Philippines. Professional and students exchange between the Philippines and the United States have expanded over time. The Fulbright program in the Philippines, established in 1948, is the world's oldest continuous Fulbright program.
So, Filipino-Americans in elected office. Filipino-Americans also occupy elected office such as Representative Steve Oster in the U.S. Congress, Delegate Ron Villanueva of the Virginia General Assembly, Delegate Chris Valderrama in the Maryland House of Delegates, and Filipino-Americans on other states who serve in local governments and in the judiciary. Filipino associations. There are at least 3,000 Filipinos and Filipino-American organizations in the United States, according to the National Federation of Filipino-American Associations, or NAFA. The various organizations may be classified as social-civic, cultural, alumni, professional, regional or provincial, religious, among others. Most of these organizations undertake projects that aim to extend assistance to various causes in the Philippines. U.S. assistance to Philippines. The U.S. government's goal in the Philippines is to help the country become a stable and prosperous nation. The 2011 Partnership for Growth Statement of Principle reinforced a shared interest in promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth in the Philippines. U.S. assistance to the Philippines fosters broad-based economic growth, improves the health and education of Filipinos, promotes peace and security, advance democratic values, good governance and human rights, and strengthen regional and global partnership. Department of State, Department of Defense, and the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, programs in conflict-affected areas of Mindanao aim to strengthen the foundation for peace and stability in the area. U.S. assistance, including from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, seek to intensify cooperation through a whole-of-government approach using a wide range of assistance and other foreign policy tools. Philippines membership in international organizations. Philippines and the United States belong to a number of the same international organizations, including the United Nations, ASEAN Regional Forum, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and World Trade Organizations. Philippines also is an observer to the Organization of American States. Before we end our discussion, I gathered some information to remember when it comes to the Filipino and American relations, and I will recommend you the historical movie when it comes of their relation. If you know the movie General Luna and the Goyo, the Batang General, you must watch that if you want some idea between their relation. The movie tackles about their journey and challenges between war against American. The Philippine-American War or Digmaang Filipino-Americano, previously referred as the Philippine Insurrection or the Tagalog Insurgency by the United States, was an armed conflict between the First Philippines Republic and the U.S. that lasted from 1899 to 1902. Fighting erupted between forces of the United States and the Philippines Republic on February 4, 1899, in what became known as the 1899 Battle of the Manila. On June 2, 1899, the First Philippines Republic officially declared war against the U.S., and the Philippines President Emilio Aguinaldo was captured on March 23, 1901, and the war was officially declared ended by the American government on July 2, 1902, with a victory for the United States. However, some Philippines troops led by veterans of the Katipunan, a Philippines revolution against Spain, continued to battle the American forces for several years. And that's all. Thank you.